Historically speaking, buying a brand new home often comes with a premium, and buyers have been accustomed to pay for a higher price for a brand new house. However, that is no longer the case. With builder-paid interest rate buydowns now available, buying a new home could potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars, especially in the first few years. In this video, I'll break down the numbers to show how buying a new home could be a smarter move financially compared to buying an older house. If you're thinking about moving or buying a house, or if you're waiting on the sidelines and you're really worried about making a bad decision, then this video is actually for you. If we haven't met, my name is Jason Walter, a realtor here in the greater Sacramento area. I've been making videos on this channel for about 6 years now. And speaking of that, if you guys want a real estate agent referral, or if you're looking to buy a house in the greater Sacramento area, then check out my new website, which is realestateteamfinder.com. All right, thank you everyone for joining me in today's video. I appreciate it so much. So let's begin, because this is actually a hot topic. I've been making videos about the Sacramento market and going over neighborhood tours, looking at brand new houses in the Sacramento region based on my other YouTube channel, which is Sacramento Home Goals. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I want to share this because a lot of areas, such as in Sacramento, Austin, Texas, much of the southern metros, have a lot of new houses being built. And because of that, and because of course, housing affordability, all these issues, a lot of home builders have a lot of houses to sell. And because of that, they're offering crazy incentives to home buyers to get their houses sold. And I'm seeing that in Sacramento. Houses selling for less than the builder's asking price on top of already offering all these incentives to home buyers. So I want to share how buying a new home could potentially be a much better move compared to buying an existing one. I'm going to share some tips though at the end though, and also share some pros and cons about buying brand new houses, because of course it's not a great decision for everyone, right? So here is a development I have shared on my second channel, again, Sacramento Home Goals. I went over neighborhood tours and houses they have for sale. And this is by the New Home Company at Arbor Ranch here in Elk Grove, California, which is about 20 to about 30 minutes south of Sacramento. And I realize I'm going to talk about Sacramento related houses, but this pertains to the nation as a whole, because you can go onto newhomesource.com, which is a great website if you want to learn about new houses for sale. You can look at their incentives being offered and do your own calculations to see, does this make sense compared to buying an older house in the area you're looking to buy, right? So in any case, this is a New Home Company. They call it Arbor Ranch, and we're looking at the cottages. They start in the low $700,000 range, and here are the stats of the houses they have for sale, right? So here is the houses, or I should say the map of the development at Arbor Ranch. So the houses in red are the homes that have been sold. In green, less than 10, they're actually for sale. And everything else is a future phase or a future rollout of homes for sale. So they have a lot of houses that are going to be for sale in the coming months and potentially years as well. So if you go down here, here's a move-in ready home. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, up to about 2,100 square feet. And the asking price is $737,000. It is move-in ready. So this is a move-in ready house in which they just need a buyer to place an offer, and 15 to 30 days later, they give the keys to the house to the buyer. So I'll talk about buyer tips, but just briefly, I want to mention this because if you're looking to buy a brand new home, you get the best deal on a completed home. And the evidence or the data actually supports that, because look at this here. It says quick move-ins with rates as low as 1.99%. This is only for houses that close by a certain date. These are move-in ready houses. This is not houses that are under construction or dirt lots, for example. You get the best rate, incentives, and prices for a completed home. So looking at this here, again, here's the information of this property, and you actually can look at the pictures of the model home. This does not mean you're going to be buying a house with all these incentives or these upgrades, but here is a model home with all the incentives you could get. And just kind of walking through here, again, I made a video actually probably based on this model home already, but you walk in, has a beautiful office at the front of the home, and then walking further, it's a 2-story home, and here's the beautiful open floor plan that everyone likes, right? Everyone likes this open floor plan, the kitchen flowing through the the family room. And you can see the backyard in general, backyards for new home developments are a little bit smaller compared to older houses. Anyways, I want to share this with you guys because the rates today compared to what the builders are offering are just night and day, right? So here's the Mortgage News Daily. They basically surveyed lenders across the country, asking them, hey, what's your best rate for someone putting down 20%, buying their first house? The credit is excellent, right? So the daily rate as of today, I'm making this video on July 16th. I believe that was yesterday's rate on the 15th because at the time of filming this video, they have not updated their rates. So anyways, looking at the average rate nationwide, these are not my rates, just on their website here, 6.85%. In comparison, looking at the rate that this builder is offering, this is what's called a 3-to-1 buy down. So the first year, it's 1.99%. In year 2, it's 2.99%. Year 3, it increases to 3.99%. And then in year 4 through 30, it's at 4.99%. Instead of a 30-year fixed rate at around 6.8 to about 7% if you're looking to buy an older house. It's also worth mentioning here that there's terms and conditions that apply to this, but this is really for move-in ready houses based on using their preferred lender. So here's what I did for you guys. I want to share how the savings is pretty crazy, by the way. The savings of this lower rate, which by the way, the builder is paying for this. The builder is paying for this. You don't have to pay for this lower rate if you buy a house based on these conditions here, as I mentioned right here. So I want to compare the buying an older house compared to a new home, right? In this scenario here. So I'm just assuming that the asking price, we're talking about the asking price at $737,000. Also comparing that to an existing house, an older home with the same price point and putting down 20%. So with this incentive being offered by that builder, again, it's a 1, 2, 3 buy down. Like I mentioned right there, here's all the interest rates for the years. But what's really important here is this right here. Years 4 through 30, 4.99%. I'll mention this at the end of the video as well, because oftentimes the buy down is only a buy down based on today's rates. And then once the rate adjusts, such as year 4 through 30, for example, it adjusts to 6.8% instead of 4.99%. So just be cognizant of that. Really look at builders who are offering incentives in which the final rate is already lower than the rate you could get today on buying an older house. So the older house, again, 30-year fix, let's just assume 6.85%, an APR at 6.9%. Your monthly payment would be about $3,867 per month. And therefore, you're going to pay around $46,000, a little bit higher than that in the first year. And in fact, every year for 30 years if you don't refinance, right? So here's what I did for you guys. I'm getting pretty fancy here. So here's a year-by-year savings compared to buying this house, a new home compared to an existing one. So in year 1, you're going to save around $20,000 because you're looking at a 1.99% rate compared to 6.8%. In year 2, the savings is $16,588. Year 3, $12,637. Year 4 through 30 is $8,432 per year. By the way, if you guys are curious how I got these numbers here, here's the first year, 1.99%. Buying that new home, your payments can be just under $2,200 per month. And then it goes to $2,500, just less than that in year 2. Year 3, $2,800. Year 4 through 30, your payment would be $3,165 per month. That is only principal and interest. I'm excluding property taxes and insurance. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So in any case, looking at this, buying an older house, your monthly payment is just under $3,900 per month instead of $2,200 in the first year. And of course, these other payments here below. So your annual payment in year 1 through 30 would be $46,000 compared to these much smaller payments when looking at a 3-to-1 buy down. Therefore, your annual savings in year 1 is $20,000. Here's year 2, 3, and thereafter, $8,432. Therefore, your total savings over the first 4 years alone is a whopping $57,924, just less than $58,000 but you will continue to save $8,432 per year until you're able to refinance once rates get to 4 to about 4.5%. So like I mentioned here, in the first year, that new home saves you over $20,000 in payments. Year 2, savings over $16,000. Year 3, about $12,000 saved. Even when rates adjust to the 4.99% in year 4 through 30, your monthly payment is still lower compared to today's rates, saving you over $8,400 per year. Mind-blowing, right? Note though, this does not take in consideration HOA, Melrose, or property insurance. So I would say property insurance, talk to your insurance agent about this. I would imagine that buying a brand new home, your home insurance is likely going to be a lot less compared to buying an older house in a more mature neighborhood. But oftentimes new builds have HOAs. In this example though, that new build I shared does not have an HOA though, right? I shouldn't say right. It doesn't have an HOA. Let's just say that. However, it does have Melrose though. Oftentimes, like in Sacramento, I'm sure I know in Texas, other parts of the country, they have an add-on to your property taxes. In California, we have what's called Melrose, which basically means an additional property tax you pay because you're buying a brand new house. And those Melrose, or that additional property taxes, pays for the infrastructure around a new home development. That could be for a new road or the roads in the development, sidewalks, street lights, the parks, maybe even schools, etc. So you're paying for those things that basically support the development. However, like I mentioned here, it would still be a lot cheaper every single year, even if your Melrose was $500 per month or about $6,000 per year, right? Because in year 1, again, you're saving around $20,000 per year, or should I say per year in the first year. And again, these other lower payments thereafter. Even in year 4 through 30, your savings is $8,400. If your Melrose is $500 per month, you're still saving money in the long term. So here's your total financial impact. You're saving around $57,924 in your first 4 years based on this example, and thereafter just over $8,000. On top of that, you're getting a brand new home, builder warranties, and of course, modern features as well. Now, before I share the pros and cons about buying brand new versus an existing house, and also sharing some home buyer tips as well. Of course, if you guys are looking to buy a house in the greater Sacramento area, my team and I cover the region here. So of course, please reach out to me if you guys want to learn more about that. And of course, I have a second YouTube channel, which is this right here. I go over neighborhood tours, housing market updates, covering the greater Sacramento area. And by the way, I do share a housing market update on the Sacramento region about once per month on this channel. And of course, I have a lot of other videos on this channel as well. Just started it back in January this year, even though I kind of started it originally about 2 years ago. Anyways, going back to this slideshow here, of course, if you're looking to buy outside of Sacramento, then of course, check out my website again, realestateteamfinder.com. Anyways, after that advertisement, sorry for that, I want to talk about the pros and cons about buying a brand new house. So here's the pros. Of course, you have builder incentives, like I mentioned in the video. Modern features, of course, you're gonna have a much more energy efficient home compared to buying a home that's built in the 50s, for example. Oftentimes you have lower maintenance costs because of course, everything's brand new, right? Compared to an older home that might have a roof you have to replace. It could cost you tens of thousands of dollars to replace. Believe me, I'm talking from experience, unfortunately. Of course, they have warranties included as well. This varies by the state. In California, you have a 10-year warranty on the foundation, and you have a 1-year warranty on the fit and finishes. And of course, you have a warranty on the HVAC, plumbing, etc. Of course, if you're looking to buy a home that is not completed, you could potentially pick all the fit and finishes, your cabinets, flooring, paint, etc., and really customize it to your own liking. However, if you do that, you're going to pay a lot more money. I would advise you guys to buy a house, if you're looking to buy a home, buy a house that is already completed compared to putting a deposit down on a dirt lot and picking all your fit and finishes. You could do that, but it's just going to cost you more money. The cons, of course, of buying a brand new home is location, of course. Oftentimes, these newer home developments are outside the city limits, and they could be further away from shops, restaurants, and of course your office potentially as well. You often have less mature neighborhoods as well. So of course, buying new, everything's new, including the landscaping as well. You could have construction delays. I'm not seeing this too much. We really saw that in 21 and of course 2020 and early 22 when supplies of cabinets, appliances, garage doors were delayed and delayed and delayed. I'm not really seeing that whole lot anymore though. Of course, buying brand new houses, oftentimes the lot sizes tend to be a lot smaller. That varies though, because of course here in Sacramento, the greater Sacramento area, we have a couple of home builders who are building houses on half-acre lots, but oftentimes there are much smaller lot sizes. And of course, if there is an HOA, of course, you have to look at the bylaws to see those restrictions because some people really don't like that. So having said that, I want to go over some tips for you guys. If you're interested in buying an area that has a lot of new home construction, like the Sacramento region, go out and find a deal. Many builders have inventory to sale, and of course, like I mentioned, are offering crazy incentives, especially for a completed home. Just think of it this way, right? If you're a home builder, you have built a house already, you have already paid all for the construction, the labor, all the materials, you're gonna be much more incentivized to sell that house compared to a dirt lot in which your sunk costs are far less compared to a completed home that's just sitting, waiting for a home buyer, right? So you get the best deal on move-in ready houses. On top of getting a lower interest rate and or a closing cost credit offer less than the asking price, I'm seeing that in Sacramento. One of the houses or one of the lots that my client was interested in Sacramento or the greater area, I actually noticed that they didn't move forward with it, by the way, but I noticed the builder offered, or actually accepted, I should say, an offer $40,000 less than the asking price. So you can get this great incentive and also potentially offer for far less than the asking price as well. Of course, work with your own realtor. I advise you guys do not work directly with the sales rep because a sales rep, who employs a sales rep? It's the builder. And what does the builder want? They want the highest price possible, right? So work with your own agent. And oftentimes I'm seeing here in my area, builders are paying for commissions as well. So working with me, for example, you don't have to pay for a commission in buying a brand new home. The builder already covers that. Also be wary of 2-1 buy downs in which the final rate is not discounted. This is super important because oftentimes, I would say this incentive I share with you guys is kind of an anomaly, but oftentimes I see a 2-1 buy down in which the first year, let's just say your rate's 5%, year 2 at 6%, but then year 3 through 30, the rate increased to 7%, which is already today's rates. So I wouldn't really move forward unless you get a discounted rate for your final rate. Like I mentioned that in the example, year 4 through 30, your rate was 4.99%, much lower than the 6.5% to 7% range we're seeing today. Also, if the builder is offering a temporary rate buy down, be 100% comfortable with that final payment because you don't want to buy a home and be comfortable with the original payment, this based on this teaser rate, and then get into an uncomfortable situation or a bad financial situation in which your rate jumps to that final number, and that's not a payment you're comfortable with. In addition, have long-term time horizons in which you do not plan to sell the home for about 5 to about 10 years, in an emergency fund, and of course, a stable job before buying as well. Lastly, in areas that have a lot of existing houses for sale, of course, you could ask the seller for a closing cost credit in order to decrease your out-of-pocket expenses as well. However, do not expect to get a 2 to a 4% interest rate in buying an existing house in today's market. With that said, please reach out if you guys are interested in buying in the greater Sacramento area. We also cover the East Bay as well. And also check out my other YouTube channel if you guys are interested in learning more about my region and also going over neighborhood tours as well. With that said, if you guys got any value out of today's video, this is a little bit different video than I normally make, then please hit the like button. Also consider subscribing as well. I appreciate you guys so much. Have an amazing day and we'll see you in the next video.